Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Beer Garden again. Today, we are really excited because we are going to watch in the afternoon at Charene the Champions Day in Hong Kong. There will be three Group 1 races that we welcome some overseas runners, including from Japan, from UK, from Australia, and from New Zealand. These top horses will be competing with our Hong Kong representative. So there will be three exciting Group 1 races. But apart from the three Group 1s, there will also be another 7 good races to watch. So just can't wait to watch the meeting at Shatin in the afternoon. So maybe first of all, talking about the weather, because last week it has been some fair few of showers, but luckily today we are going to have a sunny meeting at Shatin. Currently, it is sunny outside, and the weather forecast, the weather report, is saying that there will be not really likely to be raining in the afternoon. So the ground at Shatin will be expected to be in good condition. So hopefully this would be a good surface for all the horses later. So along with Steve, Nathan, and myself, we are going to talk about our selection in the three Group 1 races in the afternoon, along with our best bet and value bet. So the first race we are going to discuss will be race 5. It is the first Group 1 that we will be watching. It is the 1200 meters chairman sprint prize. There's not a big field, but there is, of course, a lot of top sprinters here. Nathan, who do you pick in the chairman sprint prize?
Yeah, we'll start off keeping it very simple. I think it's very hard to oppose number one here, Lucky Sweynesse. He's going to be a very short quote, and I think he'll deserve it though. He's just a supreme animal over the 1200 meters. You have to imagine his last 4 starts all ending in wins, either 1200 meters or 1400 meters respectively, and all of them have been so impressive. You go back to his run all the way back on International Day, the Hong Kong Sprint. We all saw it was bad luck, and we never got to see the best of him. Wellington was a due winner that day. He was too good, but I think everyone thought, okay, what's Lucky Sweynesse got in the locker now? And he's come out and just gone bang, bang, bang. He's just been ultra impressive. Found the Group 1 win over the 1200 metres 3 back, then went to the 14, stepped back in trip last time, bit of a prep run beating Wellington. And I just think if he replicates his last 2 starts over the 1200 metres, he's clearly the one to beat. You got to take a short quote to be having with him, but I think he's deserving of it. I think Purton will be a little bit dirty on himself. He ended up jumping off while James McDonald got the ride a couple starts back, but he gets the ride now, and it's Group 1 level, barrier 6. He'll jump. He can do what he wants from 6. Doesn't necessarily have to go lead because there could be a little bit of a X-factor horse. You got Master 8 drawn as outside. He probably goes forward. Not sure what Flaming Rib's going to do from barrier 3. He's an interesting runner. The international coming over here with Tommy Mark 1 on board. He could be a bit of a fly in the ointment if they want to press up. And I don't see Wellington necessarily. He's never been a leader in the past. So there's not a lot of speed. So I think Purton can take his time, jump, cart his way across however he likes. And if he wants to lead, he can do it. If he wants to take a seat, he can do that too. He's very versatile, Lucky Sweynesse. And the fact that we've seen him win at 1400 metres now, if he is cast wide without cover for a little bit, I'm not going to be overly concerned. He'll just prove too good, I feel. And then this is going to be a big race. And after this, do they decide to go to Japan? Do they decide to wait and possibly come for an Everest here in Australia? There's been a lot of rumours and talk that he may well be doing that. So if the rumours are true, you'd want to be seeing him coming out and winning this race and winning it well. I think he will. I think he's the class. Lucky Sweynesse goes on top on his rating and just on a pure ability. I think he's a very, very talented sprinter, and I think we get to see that this afternoon. Lucky Sweynesse for mine.
Yeah, so number 1, Lucky Sweynesse, he is now the current favorite. It's only 1.2, but it is quite reasonable because I also think that he is the likely winner. And yes, if he wins this race, he will be likely to go to Japan for the Yasuda Kinan, or in June, he will be participating in the Royal Ascot. So hopefully we will see this Hong Kong runner will be representing Hong Kong to run overseas. What do you think about it, Steve? Do you agree that Lucky Sweynesse is the likely winner here?
Yes, I concur with Nathan. It's number 1, Lucky Sweynesse, just a very good horse, isn't he? He just established himself as the preeminent sprinter in Hong Kong, assumed the mantle that Wellington once had, I guess. And his last 4 runs have all been winning group races, Group 3, Group 1, Group 2. Just a very, very good horse. And as Nathan says, tactically versatile as well. Purton can come out from gate 6, do what he wants. And at the end of the day, the fastest horse wins. And he is the slightly worrying that Zach Purton's been saying that getting slight signs from him that perhaps he's coming to maybe had done enough for the season, but maybe that's just taking the pressure off Zach, possibly. I think the horse is certainly head and shoulders above the rest on ratings as well. I think, Wellington's obviously has a good chance, but I think Sykes' Success could well be the main threat to the selection. He ran very well in the Alcor Sprint when he was 4th. It was a different, tricky camera angle that day at Meydan, but for a moment he actually looked on the near side like he was going to come through and win that race. It's rather sad that the commentator failed to mention him from Barry at the box, which I thought was rather. You go all that way to Meydan, you don't get your name mentioned, but he's certainly up there in the van throughout. Yeah. And Duke Y, who scored over course and distance here at Charene on his penultimate start, was hot on the heels of Sykes' Success, so a confidence booster. And sometimes, as they say, the Sykes' Success going abroad maybe has given him a lease of life. And he is certainly a late maturing sod. He's a late bloomer, and this is probably the best he's been running. Flaming Rib was disappointing in that race. The UK Raider, Hugo Palmer trained horse, Flaming Rib, and the trainer is confident that the sharp track will play to his strengths, but you would think he has got a lot to make up as well. And the Japanese horse, I just can't see him being good enough. So for me, it's Lucky Swain barring some sort of trouble in running. But, all things being equal, this should be his another group success for him.
Yeah, good to hear that, because in the Chairman's Sprint Prize, I will also be cheering for the Hong Kong runner, especially number 1, Lucky Swain. So all of us have an agreement on Lucky Swain. And of course, he is now doing very well in this season. As a 4-year-old trainer, Manfred Mann, actually, there is another possible path for him that will be participating in the 4-year-old Classic Series. But Manfred Mann decided to put him in the sprint races, and obviously it is a correct decision. He already won the Centenary Sprint Cup and followed by the Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup. So if Lucky Swain win this race again, he will be titled the Triple Crown winner of the Speed Series in Hong Kong. And I think that he is really likely to win the race in the afternoon, because he just doing really well during the morning track work, and this time with Zach Purton on board, gate 6 is also quite ideal for him. He already beat most of the runners in the field in this race, so I think he is going to win another race again. Main threat for him will be I think number 3, Sykes' Success, doing well for Meydan, and now breaking from gate 1 today with James McDonald on board. He is a really top-class sprinter from the John Size stable, so I think Sykes' Success is also have quite a good chance, maybe running 2nd or 3rd behind Lucky Swain. And talking about the overseas runners, we are happy to see that Hugo Palmer is sending his first Hong Kong runner in Hong Kong this year. Flaming Rib gate 3 under Tom Marquand, but I think maybe he is not really very fit during the morning track work. He looks a bit smaller. So maybe he's not strong enough for a sprint group run race in Hong Kong. And also number 7, Aguri from Japan. He's a bit disappointing last time out. Maybe the ground was too soft for him. But today, we just mentioned that the weather is going to be good in the afternoon. So the good condition of the turf ground will be quite suitable for Aguri. But he will be facing a lot of Group 1 runners here, so maybe a bit difficult for him. So to conclude that, 3 of us agree with number 1, Lucky Swain in the Chairman's Sprint Prize. So hopefully we will see him to win another race in the afternoon. So in the second race that we are going to discuss will be race 7. It is the Champions Mile, of course, over the 1600 meters. Another Group 1 race that worth watching, because we are going to have 8 runners in the field, and we will see the horse of the year of Hong Kong, Golden 60, now the favorites here. What do you think about him, Nathan? He's now 1.5. Do you think he can win another Group 1?
He's outstanding. He is just such an honest horse. What's he, 7 years old, and just continues to race well with his age. I think he's going for his 10th Group 1. this afternoon, and I think it's going to be a perfect way to bring it up. He deserves it. I think he'll be winning it as well. He is just an absolute bona fide star on the Hong Kong turf, and he deserves favouritism. His win in the Gold Cup was just sensational. He was on the canvas. He couldn't win, turning for home, and then all of a sudden he lifts himself up like the champ he is. The crowd roared, and he heard them roar because he picked himself up to win and win well. It was an impressive win. You go to his win in the Chater Cup before that, the Stewards Cup, prior to that, and that was another really, really good win. Comes back to the mile here, a couple tick-over trials, 60 days between runs, but they're not here just to have him in the race. They're here to win. Vincent Ho would have been chuckling when he drew just to the inside of California Spangle. I think that's ideal. Drawn gate 6. I think they can jump. California Spangle's the obvious leader. I think they just track him, let him come across, track him into the race, find one off. As long as you're not too far back, I think they'll be happy with that position, somewhere midfield with some cover. And I think he's just too good. We have a couple of interesting horses, Aegon, and also My Oberon coming here from been racing here in Australia. So interesting to see them come over. And also, obviously, the booking of Joe Morera on My Oberon is an interesting one. Didn't draw a gate, but his run in the Doncaster Mile was very, very impressive. So if he can bounce from that, you'd have to imagine he can find himself somewhere in the mix. So with Aegon, he's probably the one from overseas I want to make a case for. I think now that he's well-travelled, you get James McDonald on board for the Thorsman stable. He ran to the All-Star Mile at an unsuitable track. Moonee Valley was just never going to suit him. He got back. He just couldn't run to the line through his best. But prior to that, he was actually running in Group 1s behind Alligator Blood. That was in the futurity, pardon me. And I thought it was a really, really good run. And if you tie him into those sorts of runs in behind Jacquinot over the 400 metres going to the mile, I think he's the one that can make some noise here from Barrier 5. I think J-Mac will be positive. I don't think he'll let get too far back. But he's the interesting one of the overseas runners. California Spangle's the one that'll lead and give you a sight. And then what do we do with Voyage Bubble? I think that's the interesting runner in the race. They've elected to come here. They didn't have to, but I'm excited that they did. The Derby winner, obviously, again, a little bit of a freshen. We've seen the Derby form come out and be very, very positive. We saw last weekend, Straight Aaron and a couple others came out from that form line and put it together and actually ran the trifecta last week. So that's franked the form. Very intriguing runner is Voyage Bubble, but I just think the champ proves too good. He gets a decent enough map. He'll be forward enough. If he gets too far back, it might be some alarm bells ring. But other than that, he just looks the class. Happy to be with him in what looks a very tricky race. But Golden 60, he deserves this. And I think the crowd will be roaring once again as he crosses the line. So Golden 60 goes on top.
Yeah, definitely. There are so many fans of him, Golden 60 in Hong Kong. And I also believe that it is going to be a really interesting race because of Golden 60. If he wins this race again, he will become the most rich racehorse in the history, in the world. He will beat Wing's record to be the most highest prize money earning horse in the world. So can't wait to see him to create this history. What do you think, Steve? Who do you pick in the Champions Mile?
Yes, I also agree. Number one, Golden 60, just probably the greatest equine athlete to grace the Charene stage. Superb horse. And yes, and this year, apart from the reverse, of course, in the Longines Hong Kong Mile, where California Spangle got the better of him, it's just been the dominant campaign as usual. The Jockey Club Mile, the Stewards Cup, which was fantastic, and the race of a decade, wasn't it, between the three of them, three protagonists. And then last time, the City Hong Kong Gold Cup. And I don't think Vincent Ho has ever ridden him better than the Stewards Cup when he came in between Romantic Warrior. And I think in the past he'd be looking for an outside run, but these days I think what's left to prove. He's won so many times, 24 runs, 24 wins from 28 runs, been on board every single run. Hasn't always got it right, but Frankie Law, the loyalty to the jockey, and it's been repaid. Just a fantastic triumvirate, really, horse, jockey and trainer. And I can't see him losing. California Spangle, I thought in the Chairman's Trophy, kind of huffed and puffed his way to victory in that race. He wasn't suited by the way the race was run. And Money Catcher ran very well in that race, I thought. He's an interesting horse later. But yes, just a fantastic horse, Golden 60. Of the others, I think Voyage Bubble, I mentioned him later. I think a very interesting horse. I mean, apart from the established order of Spangle and the Golden 60, this is a young 3-year-old who You know, his first win of this season was a Class 3 handicap. Then he wins the 4-year-old Series Classic Mile.
Yeah.
Wasn't disgraced in the middle. Wins the Derby. I mean, this is a horse that who knows the improvement in the interim between the Derby and coming out again, and certainly on an upward curve. But for me, yes, I think Golden 60 be certainly emotional to see him win again, because how long can he keep doing this? It's just amazing. He's defying his age, isn't he? 8 years old next year, and but he still maintains this wonderful level of form. And Vincent Ho doesn't think he's been any better than this. So that's a warning sign for his rivals.
Yes, the number one Golden 60. He's a really amazing racehorse in Hong Kong. He is now 7-year-old, but still really competitive in the Group 1 races. So I think he is the one to beat, but I will have my pick on number 2, California Spangle, that because he already beat Golden 60 in the Hong Kong Mile in December last year. So I think he is likely to win the race again, because last time in the Group 2 race, he already have some great performance over there. But to be honest, it was a bit disappointed on his performance in the Speedway Cup, because he was beaten by Golden 60 and Romantic Warrior by more than a length at that time. It was so a bit disappointing. But after that, I think he is now resuming better, and he is a bit younger than Golden 60. California Spangle is now 5-year-old, and I think at the moment he is still really fit. And to talking about his riding tactic for this race, I guess he will be leading in the first position. And I think the pace will not be really slow, because according to the interview of the trainer, Tony Cruz, he said that California Spangle likes to lead in a fast pace, and he is also capable to keep till the end. So if he lead in fast pace in the afternoon later, Golden 60 may be a bit difficult to chase, just like in the Hong Kong Mile in December. So obviously, these two horses are really good over the mile. So this time I will have my pick on number 2, California Spangle, rather than Golden 60. But of course, I really think Golden 60 is a great horse. And also, yes, number 9, Voyage Bubble. It is quite interesting to see this 4-year-old will be competing with another older horses here. So it is quite a good race to watch. So to recap, race 7, the Champions Mile, Nathan and Steve agree with number 1, Golden 60, and I will go for number 2, California Spangle. So the next race we are going to talk about will be race 8, another good race to watch, because the QE2 Cup over 2,000 meters, because this Group 1 race, we are having the Hong Kong representative Romantic Warrior and the UK runner Dubai Honor, who is really fit at the moment. And also there will be some other Japanese horses here in the field. Nathan, what do you think about this race? Who is your pick in the QE2 Cup?
It was an outstanding edition of the QE2. I think it's a very, very good race. 7 chances, 7 winning hopes, in my opinion. You can make a case for nearly all of them. I think, the 2 lesser, I suppose you could say, of the Hong Kong Gallopers, Tourbillon Diamond and also Money Catcher, they can cause an upset, because we saw what Money Catcher actually did. Back in the Hong Kong Cup was one of the better runs actually in that race, where it ran in behind Romantic Warrior. So you can even tie him into some great form. But I'm against Romantic Warrior. It's the first time going against the favourite so far on the beer garden, and I say it with disappointment, because he's been one of mine. I feel like he can still beat me. There's no doubt about that. He's just going outstanding. His barrier trial since his latest run has just been outstanding. So he can definitely win. But the one I'm going to tip is number 2 here, Dubai Honor. He came to Australia and he took on our best horse, which was Animo, and obviously he's retired now after that run in the Queen Elizabeth. But the win by Dubai Honor was just sensational. Yes, there was sting out of the ground, but he was able to sit back off a decent tempo, powered to the line, and he was ultra impressive. William Haggis tipped him out, had him tipped up a long way out. He thought this horse had plenty of ability coming over, and said he'd be better on a wet track, because prior to that, he actually won on a good deck in the Ranvent Stakes, and absolutely put pay to some of our horses. And we had some very nice types in that horse, multiple Group 1 winners like Malanga and also Montefilia. They are not mugs, they're proper good gallopers. And he gave them a shellacking, 4.5 lengths. He smashed them. He drew gate 1 on that gate 2, pardon me, in a 7-horse field. Gets a very similar setup, I feel, to what this race is over in Hong Kong today. And I think William Haggis, I think he knows that he's got a proper world traveller now under his radar. We saw him actually compete in Hong Kong in 2021, ran it behind Love's Only You in the 2021 edition of this race, and I thought was outstanding. I went back and watched the replay, and I was very, very impressed from what I saw. He was checked, he was hampered, never got a clear running, and he still finished within about 2.5 lengths of the winner. So I thought he was outstanding. He runs on good or wet surfaces, so that doesn't matter. Gets a perfect wrap. And at the price, you're getting currently on the Jockey Club website 4.9. I think you might even get better because I think the money will just keep flowing for this Hong Kong galloper. So I think you get a good price for Dubai Honor. I've got him on top. I think he's very, very hard to beat. The one of the Japanese runners I want to make a big case for is down the bottom of the page. It's the mare in the race, and that's Geraldina. I'm convinced she's very, very good. She ran 6th in the Osaka High behind Jack Dior. We saw Jack Dior come over to Hong Kong as well. He was a little bit disappointing, but Danon the Kid wasn't. He was in that race as well. He ran 3rd. He obviously shows up in this race again. I'm just not sure where Danon the Kid ends up on the map. But you go back for Geraldina form. 2 back, she ran into a horse called Equinox. Now, we saw what Equinox did in Maidan, and I'm convinced that Geraldina is just very, very talented. Her run in that race was just outstanding. She got back. She couldn't run on as well as the winner because Equinox just seemed special, but got to be considered one of the dangers here. I think it's a very talented mare. I think she comes over in great form, second up with some fitness on her side, and she can run over 2,000 metres. We've seen her get out to 2,200 metres and plus, and I love her breeding. Maurice out of Gentle Donna might be one of the best breedings I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Her breeding is phenomenal. So I think she can make a massive, massive noise in this race. She's currently 5.6. I'm going to be having a little saver on her. I think she could definitely be winning this race. Gate 2, Christian Demuro makes his way over from France, one of the best world jockeys as well. I think this is one of those races where you can make a case for a lot of them. So I'm probably rambling a bit too much, but Dubai goes on top, and also Geraldine. I think they're the main two. They're the two I'm going to bet because I think this is an outstanding race. In saying that, Romantic Warrior is the one to beat.
Yes, so it is really a good race to watch in the QE2 Cup. So many good horses around the world will be competing in the same race, including Romantic Warrior and also Dubai Honor. It will be his second trip to Hong Kong. Nathan just mentioned in 2021 he went to Hong Kong in the Hong Kong Cup, but at that time he was a bit green, but now he's more mature. You see his performance in Australia were really amazing recently, and this time he will be breaking from gate 1. So let's see whether the great trainer William Haggis can score his first victory in Hong Kong with Dubai Honor. So, Steve, what about you? Who do you think is the likely winner is in the QE2 Cup?
Well, the likely winner, I guess, on the market is Romantic Warrior. That's the likely winner, and like Nathan, I looked at the 3 obvious horses in the group races, and I came down on Romantic Warrior as being possibly the vulnerable one out of the 3 of them. Last year, he arrived here on the crest of a wave. He was the Hong Kong Derby winner, and this year he started in good form. This season, it was the Jockey Club Cup, followed by the Longines Hong Kong Cup, and then 2 reverses. You could expect it perhaps in the Stewards Cup, but over the City Hong Kong Gold Cup over the 2,000 metres, I really expected him to get the better of Golden 60, and of course he didn't. The market expected it too. Didn't quite do it that day, and so some surprise that he couldn't contain Golden 60 over his favoured distance. But that said, he remains the class act in this race. I think he's nearest rival in the market. Nathan's picked Dubai on a fantastic form, two wins in Australia. I mean, William Haggis, marvellous British trainer, is of the opinion that he's probably a better horse now than he was when he was here in 2021, when he was 4th under Tom Marquand. I just wonder sometimes if he probably still needs a little bit more cut in the ground. I mean, if the rain was down, I'd be probably a bit slightly more keen. But that said, he is a very good horse, and he's also run some good races on Good to Firm. He's obviously got an extremely good chance if he maintains his condition, and he certainly does look like he's had his passport stamped quite often lately, and he's thriving on it. What's wonderful, isn't it, to have Japan making such a mark in world racing these days? There's a fantastic 3 horses they bring. Danon the Kid, and also Geraldine. I also agree. I thought the last run in the Kinko show was it wasn't the Kinko show, was it? It was the
Osaka High.
The Osaka High, yes. I mean, we were staying on 6 that day, saved all ground on the rail. And Christian Jimuro, one of my favourite jockeys in France, doesn't come over for nothing. I always like Tuchel in the last race as well for him. But yeah, it's a great chance. I ended up going for Prognosis. I think he's a really nice horse. He says 5 wins in 8 runs, a very likely race. This horse could be anything. I like his breeding. He's a son of Deep Impact. He was 4th on his penultimate start, and his last race, the Kinko Show. So I was trying to say the Kinko Show. It was his first graded stakes win, a Grade 2. He was held up. He's a lightly raced horse, as I say. He's light on experience, but he certainly ran so well that day. And the booking of Purton it just speaks volumes for me. I think he's a very nice horse, beautiful breeding, and that is the one for me. But I'm just looking forward to the spectacle. It's a fantastic race. And even Money Catcher, I think, is interesting. Sylvester de Souza's quite confident there. Placed runs recently, the City Hong Kong Gold Cup and the Chairman's Trophy. That's all the indication of an improved horse too. I think he'll give a bold sight for a long way. But for me, hopefully, Prognosis can be the one.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Number 6 Prognosis, because he will be ridden by Zach Purton from gate 3. He is always a back marker, but always show a great turn of foot in the home stretch. So hopefully this time we will see him chase from the very back under Zach Purton. And for me, it is really difficult to pick only one horse in the QE2 Cup, but I finally decided to go with number 1 Romantic Warrior, who is the current favorite with 1.9 only from gate 4 under James McDonald. And I think it is good to see James McDonald will be reuniting with this horse again, because I think he's the most suitable jockey for the horse. But maybe later in the Chatter Cup, he will be ridden by Zach Purton, but this time still ridden by James McDonald. So it is interesting to see that, because maybe talking about James McDonald and Dubai Honor, that I would think of the QE stakes in Randwick last month, because Animal was beaten by Dubai Honor at that time, and James McDonald was riding Animal. So I think that this jockey will knows about Romantic Warrior, of course, very well, but also he will know about Dubai Honor, that how will they their position, or how will be their tactic. So hopefully James McDonald can turn the table, but on board a different horse that will be Romantic Warrior, who is a really strong 5-year-old. And of course, last year as a 4-year-old, he was already very talented, showing some good talents at that time. And he can keep it at this age. And I think this time racing over 2,000 meters would be his favorite trip. So hopefully he can win again, Romantic Warrior. But I think a quick mention on the only mare in the field that will be Gerardina here. He will have a 4 pounds claim, or only carrying 122 pounds. I think this is also one of the main factors that to make her perform quite well. She took the Osaka High as the first up as a 5-year-old. But I checked his race record, his form. Usually on her first up will not be really good, but on the second up, she would improve. So it is quite interesting to see him the second up this time in the year. Will be running in the QE2 Cup. And yes, gate 2 is also quite ideal for him. And last time in the Osaka High, she was a bit unlucky, because she was breaking from gate 1 and she did not have a clear one in the last furlong. But she still finished really close behind Jack Dior. So it would be really an interesting race to watch. So really looking forward to that. And to recap the race 8 in the QE2 Cup, Nathan goes with number 2, Dubai Honor. Steve goes with number 6, Prognosis, and I will go with number 1, Romantic Warrior. So after talking about the 3 Group 1 races, let's talk about the most confident pick of us. That will be our best bet packs. Nathan, who will be your best bets today?
Classic me. I've gone to an early race and it's a short price, but I think we'll be finding hopefully a winner nice and early with the best bet. We'll go to race number 2 on the program. It's a first starter here by the name of Beauty Destiny, number 5 in your market. It's a gelding out of Star Turn. It actually trialled up here in Australia, ended up going across to Hong Kong. Trials here in Oz were outstanding. Trials in Hong Kong are even better. My word, it's funny. I think Frankie Law's just decided to trial him on every single surface so we can get a really good idea about how good he is. They stepped out on the Sha Tin turf originally of 800 metres. Zach Burton took the reins that day, won the trial, then went to the Happy Valley turf, won that trial as well, and then stepped out onto the all-weather and went on to win that trial. 3 trials, 3 wins. I think he's very, very progressive, very impressive in those trials. I love the versatilities he's shown. He's been able to get back, run on, was able to lead them up, kick clear. So from gate 7, I expect Burton to jump. I expect him to lead, kick, and hopefully get career to start number 1 as kick off as a winner. I think it's a very impressive type, and I think it steps out here in a race that's competitive but pretty winnable. You look at some of these horses, I think some of them are nice types. Call Me Dandy's been consistent this preparation. Lucky Encounter I thought was good, but that was down the straight. Now goes to a turn, but does draw gate 1. Green and White was an interesting horse. I've had plenty of time for. I thought his first up run was very disappointing off his trials, but could definitely improve. Just the one trial coming into this one after a 75-day break, but I don't think there's anything as impressive in this race as what I've seen from Beauty Destiny jump outs. And if it can replicate that, I think he's clearly the one to beat today. He's 1.4 currently. I know he's opened at 1.7 on some bookmakers here in Oz, so that's where I'll be playing. 1.7, I think, is more than fair. That'll be my main bet of the day, and maybe multing into a few other gallopers throughout the afternoon. So Beauty Destiny for me is the best bet of the day. I think he'll be very, very hard to beat.
Yes, a really interesting run. A race to number 5, Beauty Destiny. Currently is 1.4, but I do think that he has some rooms for drifting, and I think he will still be the favorite in this race because he already has several good barrier trial in Hong Kong, and also with Zach Burton on board riding for the Beauty stable. He is obviously the likely winner in race 2. And Steve, what about you? Who do you pick as your best bet? Can you remind us?
Well, there are certainly more obvious ones to choose than Beauty Destiny. I've picked as well, actually, not as my best bet, but possibly should have. But I went to race number 8, the one I mentioned, number 6, the Mitsumasa Nakachida trained Prognosis. I just think I love the aspect of a lightly raced raider who's capable of anything. We kind of know. Yes. Romantic Warrior brings a fantastic level of form, of course, Group 1 winning form, but he is what he is. That's a fantastic horse, but there are just possibly chinks in his armor. I think the Japanese trio, the only one that I'm not come back to haunt me possibly, Dan on the Kid, is the one that I probably have least of all. He was thumped in the Longines Hong Kong Cup by Romantic Warrior, and you can't really see him reversing that form. So the ones that I really focus on are Geraldina, fantastic jockey, Christian Demuro. I did have a slight question mark over the trip at 2,000 meters. I would say is very much a minimum, but a very nice horse, and as you say, stayed on very nicely last time in the Osaka High. But for me, Prognosis, yes, he was a penultimate 4th actually, 2 runs back in the Junichi Shinbun, and that was a grade 3. And he was made favourite for that race. He wasn't beaten far. It was almost like a blanket finish. But and last time, as I say, in the Kinko Show, his first graded stakes win, which I thought was really nice. He was held up at the back, came through with a really good run. And the son of Deep Impact, the ground will be fine. The distance is perfect for him. 8 runs. He could be anything. And I think that's what I like about this horse. So for me, yes, a bit of a surprise in race 8, the final of the Group 1 events.
Yeah, that's nice. So race 8, number 6, Prognosis will be Steve's best bet for the day. Yes, I also think that he is an unexposed one and ridden by Zach Burton. Really looking forward to see that how he will help the horse to perform even better than recent starts. He also always finish in the fast final 3 furlong in his race in Japan. So hopefully, I think this time he will be chasing well again. So let's see. And for my best bet, it will be in the final race of the card. I will go for race 10, number 8, Tuchel, over this class to over 1,400 meters. And actually now the favorite one is number 4, Beauty Eternal, but breaking from gate 10, carrying 133 pounds. Comparing if Tuchel, that will be from gate 3 and 126 pounds. I think Tuchel has a better chance because these 2 horses run in the Hong Kong Derby in March, and Tuchel at that time was staying at the rail because from gate 1 under Ryan Moore, and he actually finished second behind Voyage Bubble. But Beauty Eternal, maybe 2,000 meters, was a bit too long for him, so it was a bit disappointing for him. But he still finished third behind Voyage Bubble and Dusho. But this time returning back to 1,400 meters together again, I think that Dusho has a better form over this course and distance, because he run over the 1,400 meters as Charene for four time, and 4 times he is a winner at that time. So hopefully he will keep this good record in the later. So my best bet will be in race 10, number 8, Dusho. So to recap our best bet of today's race card at Charene, Nathan, race 2, number 5, Beauty Destiny, and Steve, race 8, number 6, Promises, and for me, race 10, number 8, Dusho. And as it is the time for us to look for some value bets. Nathan, who do you pick as your value bet?
Yeah, I'm going back to race number 6 on the program. I think it's one of the more wide open races of the day. I know Ching's come up a short price, and I've been with him quite often. I feel like I nearly every start this preparation, so I'm probably going to regret the fact I've gotten away from him here. But I like one down the bottom of the page here, number 13, goes by the name of Owner's Praise. Now, I know he's a little bit disappointing last time. He had every chance to beat Forever Folks in Class 4. He drew 1, carded up in behind the lead, peeled out, and I thought he was in the queue. Purton probably thought so as well. I think he just picked on the run in terms of, it was the weight, I feel. I think the 135 pounds he had to carry just caught up to him late. And the fact that they've elected to go up in grade and get down in the weights, I think that's the right option here. Gets in really well here with the 119 pounds. Chadwick takes the ride. Draws gate 5. It should get a very similar run to what it did last time. Should be, and I actually think sort of not a wide gate by any stretch, but finding a one-off position is much more suitable for this guy compared to the inside. Just seems like a galloper that loves getting outside of gallopers rather than having to sort of check between runners and get off the rail as he had to last time. I think it sort of takes a little bit out of him, or he doesn't have that electric turn of foot that we've seen, because you go to his win 3 back. That was over 1,400 meters, and I thought he was ultra impressive. He drew 11, got back to last, and powered over the top. After that, it was 2 kind of disappointing runs, and now we get a price to find out. It was a $2.90 favourite last time, and now we're getting 8.5 and around 2.3 on the place line. I think that's a fair each way quote, and I think in a race where there's not a lot of speed, I think this will be a lot more suitable for horses that are sort of tracking up towards the speed, and it'll become a sit and sprint late, I feel. So you have to be up on the tempo to be doing much late, because I'm not sure you can make too much ground in a race like this with a lack of tempo. This one obviously over the 1,600 meters, and I think it's a race where we can sort of spec some value. The race doesn't stop there. Clearly, the favourite Ching just going on putting a picket fence together. It's had 2 wins in a row, looking for 3. And I believe his 4th win for the preparation. He's going outstanding. Also, Flying Quest back in grade looks an interesting type. The Best Peach looks ready to peak. Just concerned maybe wants to step up in trip. Romantic Charms finally starting to find his feet in Hong Kong as well, and gets the booking in James McDonald. So very interesting race. And when you get a race like this, I like to find a little bit of value. And Owner's Praise is the one that's piqued my interest. So I'll go with him on top as the best value runner at Charene this afternoon.
Yes, in race 6, I think it is quite wide open, so it is quite good for us to look for some outsider. And of course, number 13, Owner's Praise, this time up in class. But I think it is even better for him because he will be carrying a lighter weight than last time. So I think he's still improving. It's really suitable over this distance as well. So I also think Owner's Praise is having quite a good chance here. And what about you, Steve? Who do you pick as your value pick?
Just say that, Nathan, that's my selection actually as well. A very good chance. When I saw you select it, I thought, if it was the only one I liked as a value bet, I would have stuck with it. But it's nice to have a bit of variety on the show. And I thought, I went back to the Golden 60 race, and I just think Voyage Bubble, the Dead 8 as well, with the removal of Inglorious Dragon. We've got 8 runners there. It's a perfect fit for an each way race. And, they may well finish 1 and 2 Golden 16 California Spangle, but there's many a time that when you think of it as a 2-horse race, one blows out. And Voyage Bubble, just a amazing horse, started the season off a rating of 74. He's gone up 29. He's up to 103 now. Class 3 at the beginning, or Class 3 into the season, and then the Classic Mile. No disgrace being fourth to Super Sunny Singh in the Classic Cup. And then amazing to think under Alexis Badel, ran wide all the way from gate 14 and still had enough in reserve. It's hard to quantify how that squares with the older horses in Spangle and 60, but as a 3-year-old, providing he's not gone over the top or done too much for the season, and Alexis Badel seems to be confident that he's still a good horse, but got maybe his condition and his coat's gone a little bit, he says, but apart from that, he says he felt fantastic or excellent on a recent barrier. What more can you need? No gate 14 to worry about this time. So for me, an up-and-coming horse, and if the main protagonists are less than on top form, then this one could inherit and be a fantastic culmination of an interesting season for him. So for me, Voyage Bubble.
Yeah, that's lovely. Race 7, number 9, Voyage Bubble he is the Hong Kong Derby winner, and this time he will be running in the Group 1. And yes, there are so many good rivals here, but he is still improving as a 3-year-old, as the youngest runner in the field, and I think there is a good chance for him as well. And for me, my value bet will be in race 3. I quite like number 6, Supreme Boy. And in race 3, it is a class 3 over 1200 meters. The 2 market leader here will be number 1, Supreme Lucky, but a wide draw and a top weight for him, there is a concern. And the second favorite will be number 7, Prince of Porty. He's undefeated from 2 starts under Zach Purton, but this time I think there is a bit longer spell before this race for him, so there's a question mark. So I will have my value bet on number 6, Supreme Boy, that will be breaking from gate 1. The win price now is $28, and for place it is 4.4, so it is quite a good pick for an each way bet, because this time breaking from gate 1 is the main factor that I will be looking forward to him. He is a debut winner in Hong Kong over the straight course, but last time when he tried the 1200 meters at Charene for the first time, because of the wide draw, he needs to stay at the back. However, he showed a good turn of foot lastly, and he chased well to finish well. So this time, I think a better draw for him. So at the beginning, he may be staying in a better position, maybe in the midfield or maybe behind the leader. That will be more suitable for him. But yes, I think last time he already shows that he's capable over this distance, not only focusing on the straight course. So trying the 1200 meters again this time, good draw, because last time is gate 11 and this time gate 1, much more upgrade. So with Lyle, he was an on board again. He knows the horse well, and hopefully he can have some good performance later. So to recap our best bets for today's Charene, Nathan goes with race 6, number 13, Owner's Praise. For Steve, that will be race 7 in the Champions Mile, number 9, Voyage Bubble. And for me, I pick race 3, number 6, Supreme Boy as my value bet. So hopefully we can bring you some winner. And let's enjoy the Champions Day later in the afternoon at Charene. The weather will be good as usual. It will be sunny. So let's enjoy, and hopefully we can bring you some winner. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time for the Happy Value preview. See you. Goodbye.